Welcome back. This week has been large. It's been big. Why? Because a lot of archaeological news all around the world has come to light. And do I think it's a coincidence? No, because it seems to always be like this. It's like, it's not just one breakthrough in one part of the world at one time. It's like, so yeah, basically there has been like a huge amount of archaeological stuff happening. Naturally, I think it's the coolest stuff ever. Do we still say cool? Like, I feel like we don't. Anyway, so I'm gonna title this video like, just hang with me and let's talk archaeology. Rhymes again. Let's just do a cash. Let's get a beverage. Cheers. No, don't like that. That's terrible. That's awful. Anyway, all right. So let's start with possibly my favorite, just because at the moment I'm really in the Mesopotamian rabbit hole, like big time. And so this one has sparked, when I say rabbit hole, is that a thing? Do people, hopefully that's an international saying. It just means that like, I have ADHD. Let's just get it out there. Let's just put it on the table. I have ADHD, mild presenting, but I hyperfixate constantly. It's how I live my life. And so when I get on a topic, I can't stop until I've itched the itch in my brain. Sometimes it lasts for like an hour. Sometimes it lasts for my whole personality. Whatever. So anyway, I'm currently hyperfixated on Mesopotamian history. I think it's absolutely fascinating. Okay, so in Iraq, there has been an ancient city that is estimated to be about 3,400 years old, that has been discovered because of a drought. Yes, it's giving Atlantis. It's giving all the right things. We are excited about this. Now, what I consider to be the very exciting thing is the Digit Commune also, Commune, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, uncovered 5 ceramic vessels, right? Pots, I suppose. And they contained more than 100 cuneiform tablets. So the way in Mesopotamia, the cuneiform script was typically done with clay and like a blunt sort of object, and the characters were wedged into it, and that was basically how they wrote. So 100 of these have been found. So archaeologists believe, that's rather dark, isn't it? Believe that Zakiku, which is dated to the Bronze Age, and is known as the Mitanni Empire, which is about 1550 to 1350 BCE, are what have been found. So there's been a number of large buildings, inclusive of a palace, found. Now, there's the region that it's in, the Commune region, hasn't received a lot of rainfall for a considerable amount of time, and it's been dependent on the Monsol Reservoir to keep the land alive. As a result, the water goes down, and hello, we have the remains of an ancient city. Now, what happened to this city? We think, and when I say we, I mean the archaeologists, or like we as a human species, Homo sapiens sapiens, because I personally believe that when we find these big feats of archaeology, we're learning about our own species. It's all of us. We're in it together. Okay, so I do use we. It annoys people. It annoys some people, but I feel like most people understand it. I'm not claiming to be from Iraq, but I consider these findings very exciting for humankind, and I love it, and I want to be a part of it. You know what I mean? So anyway, we believe that the Mitanni city was destroyed via earthquake, and a lot of the upper walls of the buildings therefore fell in, and eventually became submerged over time as climate changed, because climate change is our climate has changed on Earth always. And obviously water levels rose and protected the city from decaying, essentially. I also should mention that the particular site had like a huge storage area. So it was likely like a place where they would store like enormous quantities of goods. So potentially the tablets have some kind of record keeping. I don't really know. I'm just speculating at this point, which I don't like to do very much. Pretty intense for the archaeologists because they did not know how much time they would have. It's a drought, you know, so it's not really predictable when the rains would come. It's not like a normal sort of climate situation. So the team apparently was extremely dedicated and motivated. They worked snow, rain, fog, hail, and storms, apparently. Now that's a quote from the leading archaeologist on the job. Now, the other thing is that this city has been known about for some time. I think it's been about like 50 odd years. I think in the 1980s. Can you believe that was 50 years ago? When I say 1980s, I'm like, oh yeah, 20 years ago. No, that's 50 years ago. Anyway. The Monsol Dam was put in the 1980s, and so the site has been continuously underwater since the 80s. But obviously drought happened, and the settlement resurfaced around 2018. And yeah, it wasn't until December 2021, not like 6 months ago, that it dropped enough for the team to go in. So the big thing people are concerned about now is, okay, it is Iraq. Stuff's happened there before. How are we preserving it? Basically, the ancient settlement's been covered in a type of plastic and like held down with rocks, and the water levels in the area have gradually been rising since February, and it's completely submerged again. So it's unpredictable when archaeologists will be able to go back in. I guess they've got the tablets, so they've got a lot of artifacts that they can look at, which is pretty cool. And yeah, we're sort of just waiting, like, what's on the cuneiform tablets? I want to know, you want to know, we all want to know. Don't rush the archaeologists, guys. They're probably working their little butts off. Good on you guys. By the way, I'm pretty sure, like, from memory, there's like only like 2 or 3 people in the world that can decode cuneiform. One's a lady. I know that. One's a lady. I mean, it's not a language that anyone speaks, so I can't imagine it's extremely well known. Anyway, just a tidbit. Next up on the list is probably the most media covered find, is the 2,500-year-old coffins that have been found at Saqqara. So let's get into that. In Egypt, at the moment, there are up to 250 sarcophagi that have been found. So just a little bit of background. In Egypt, in the dynasties, prior to sort of like the end of mummification and entombment began to become like quite commoditized. No, like commercialized. That's the word I was looking for. But so basically what they found is one of these like commercial tombs, and so there's 250, which is a huge quantity, but they're very similar, and like lay people, most likely wealthy people, to be able to afford it, but still, huge artifacts, sarcophagi, 150 bronze statues, and like other antiquities, inclusive of Egyptian gods, so Anubis, Osiris, Nefertim, Isis, and Hathor, 40 wooden coffins with mummies inside, and a 30-feet long Book of the Dead, which it was believed in the Egyptian legends that you needed particular spells and things and guidance in the Book of the Dead, or the papyrus, to make it through the various challenges in the afterlife, to be allowed into the bliss of afterlife. So I think there's like, it's a big journey. I'll do another video on that because it's a whole video in and of itself. But yeah, 30 feet long, 9 meters, 9.1 meters. That's long. So that's been sent off to a lab to be inspected and all the info to be collected. The excellent condition is something to be amazed at. The gilding on the statues is still intact. Tomb raiders just did not touch these. It is incredible that at this point in Egyptian archaeology, we are still finding these sorts of things. Now, another really notable thing is that these Egyptian archaeologists are Egyptian. Yes, they're actually Egyptian. I say this because for so many years, Egypt has just unfortunately been, I want to say maybe like adulterated. I don't know, like just the Egyptomania just overcame white people. And yeah, things were just looted and it was just not a good time. So a interesting figure, an interesting figure, kind of like the overlord of who gets in and who does not, oversees this now, and he kind of says what goes when it comes to digs. He's a bit of a controversial figure, but I'm not going to get into that. So yeah, the crazy thing about this is that the dig season's not over. So watch this space, I suppose. Okay, now the third and final little discovery, excuse my language, it's huge, that I am going to report on in this video is that there has been lost cities found in the Amazon. So there is a technology called LiDAR, which essentially, as far as I understand it, basically it's like a helicopter or a drone that's put in the air. And this technology is able to like 650 feet in the air, how many meters that is. They're able to use like a light-based remote device. Had a battery there for a minute. So where was I up to? So yeah, basically the Bolivian Amazon cities that have been found were abandoned about 600 years ago. So not that long ago, to be honest, in the scope of history. You know what I mean? So these new images essentially show the complexity of the urban centers. Now the urban centers have the pyramid type structures. The raised structures were known about. I think 2 were known about. But due to the difficulty of getting into the middle of the Bolivian Amazon, they were not super well studied. So this new technology has really shed light on how urbanized this area really was. I love this because it's a myth that Europeans began that spoke of this jungle that was uninhabited. It's a myth. It's false. It's incorrect. And it is European in invention. And so a lot of people didn't want to see if there was archaeological finds or merit in exploration deep within the Amazon. This shows that that is completely idiotic, because there is a plethora of evidence to be dug up. Well, not dug up. I don't know if they're planning on digging it up, but there's a lot to be known. There's so much to learn about these native cultures. It's been said by the archaeologists that in the next 10 to 20 years, they're planning on seeing or learning a lot about these cities, and that they will be presenting even bigger cities in their papers, which I think is extremely exciting. Michael Heckenberger, who is an anthropologist at the University of Florida, has been studying urbanism of pre-Columbian Amazon for nearly 2 decades, so 20 years old. And he notes the elements of settlement at the Llanos de Mojos are like moats. So the city had, like water-filled moats around it, and that sort of like the causeways sort of connect things, and had modified landmarks, parks, fish farms, for goodness sake. And that's been seen elsewhere in already studied Amazon cultures. This anthropologist has stated, this is his quote, "This is in my mind the clearest case of fully urbanized Amazonian landscape. It's a marvelous piece of work. It shows really remarkable range of things that humans did in the past to work with their landscapes and work with larger and larger populations." I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please comment down below. This particular video will probably age. So stay tuned for updates. Hopefully in like 3 months time, I'm gonna be, doing a part 2 where I can tell you about the cuneiform tablets, and I can tell you more about the findings in the Amazon and more about the findings in Saqqara. Nonetheless, that's sort of like the archaeology news, or my take on it. Those 3 big projects. If you enjoyed this video or learned something, please give the channel a follow. It means the world to me. If you're particularly interested in Egyptology at the moment, on my Patreon, which is the most direct way that you can support my channel other than subscribing, obviously. is joining my Patreon subscription. We do a history class there, currently doing ancient Egypt. So if you're keen, please feel free to come and join our Discord. We chat daily on there too, so you get that sort of exclusive access, VIP, I don't know, treatment. It's fun. It's a safe space, you know, for mental health, for everything. Everyone's welcome. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye.